Hello, Sandra Fatorić. Welcome to the Slovenian Australia channel. You are from the beautiful coastal town of Fatorić in Slovenia, and you're currently studying for your PhD in Barcelona. You're doing your PhD at the University of Barcelona in Spain. Why did you choose this university?
4 years and a half I've moved from Fatorić to Barcelona, mainly to do a practical work after my bachelor studies, where I finished geography in University of Primorska in Koper. So I went to do a practical work in public administration, also in the field of climate change. And after this, firstly I thought that I will stay just 4 months, like was the plan. And it was my first time moving from home in one big city like Barcelona that has around 2 million people, only the city. So after this I decided maybe I should stay a bit longer, and so I stayed 1 year more. Then I decided I want to do a master. I started to do a master also in environmental studies with specialization of climate and global change. And after this I started with PhD that I am currently doing now. And it's also about climate change, and actually it's about climate change impacts on population and economies and ecosystems, mainly in natural protected areas that also from the point of view are important for their economies and also population that is living there.
Okay. And how long is your PhD?
Now I'm starting in January. I'm starting officially the 3rd year. So I would like to finish until December next year, 2013. So it would be like 3 years or less. So yeah, it's 4 years. But I am now trying to finish it in 3.
Yeah. Okay. So what other degrees do you have, and which universities? You said about the geography.
Yeah, I finished the geography in University of Primorska. Master of environmental studies with specialization of climate and global change in University in Barcelona. Actually, it's Autonomous University of Barcelona. And now in the same university, I'm also doing a PhD.
Okay. And can you tell us about your PhD and why you came to Australia?
So, like I said before, I'm researching the possible impacts of climate change in the natural protected area. The case study I have now, it's one area that is in northeastern part of Spain. It's called Untitled. And I had a similar area that I was doing for my master. It was the Delta of River Ebro. It's southern part of the region, Catalonia. So mainly I am now focusing on vulnerability of the effects of climate change and how to adapt on these changes. How the ecosystem and also population and economies should adapt on the changes, the future changes, or maybe already in the present changes, if there are some of them already observed. And why I came here, because due to my research, I was also this summer I was doing also similar research in Greece. Also was one natural protected areas, and I was also investigating the impacts of climate change and also stakeholder perceptions about how to adapt. Because part of the adaptation is mainly based on the perception of the stakeholders. And then now, before finishing my PhD, I wanted to also have experience from doing the same in another continent. So so for me it was easy to choose Australia because in my group of investigation, that is group of migration, we have my supervisor coordinating a project that is international one about immigration in small towns, rural areas, and should be sustainable towns. The scope is to be the sustainable ones. And so I came now actually for both things. One is the project about migration in small towns, and the other one is my PhD that is about climate change impacts and adaptation. Okay, one part of adaptation, it's also emigration, but usually this option is like not acceptable one in stakeholder perception until now. So here in Australia, I was now this week doing also interviews with stakeholders in the area of Victor Harbour, Gulva, Port Elliot, Coorong National Park, and also I wanted to obtain their opinion about climate change impacts, if they can be affected, if their work activity can be expected, if they already notice any changes in the climate, in the weather patterns, how they should adapt, what they think, how to mitigate or how to adapt to the changes. Also, if they, in their opinion, if the towns where they live, they work, if they are sustainable ones. Mainly, the investigation was based on these issues.
Okay, good. And so you said you visited the southeast of Australia. Oh, South Australia. So you've seen the Victor Harbour, Gulva, Coorong.
Yeah.
Were there any other places? Oh, and Murray Bridge, was that right?
Yes. Another. Actually, the Murray Bridge is also included, but I didn't visit it.
Okay.
I came with my supervisor now in Australia, and we were divided. He was visiting one, while he was, for example, visiting Murray Bridge, and the other more interior towns, and I had these coastal ones because for me it's easier for the experience and the knowledge that I'm doing in Barcelona. It's easier to focus and on the coastal towns that interior.
And you said you also visited Melbourne.
Yes.
So was this on the same?
Melbourne, it was mainly, we stayed just a few days in Melbourne because it was also, I visited some institutions, NGOs, also that are dealing with these issues of climate change, also climate change adaptation, climate change mitigation, climate change policy, and that's it. But actually the field work I was doing in this area of South Australia.
And what are your observations that you found when you were doing the research?
Actually, what I found out in this area that it's not that I found out. What I found out from the stakeholders was that the climate change effects are already clearly visible in this area, especially of air temperature rise, precipitation decrease. This was the two obvious effects that people were mentioning. Also the desertification, the droughts, the decrease in freshwater input, and also the river, the decrease of the water availability from the river Murray.
Yep. Very
so. And from the other part, for example, for the coastal areas, they were mentioning mainly some people already noticed sea level rise, and sea level rise effects was mainly observed the coastal erosion, because you have sandy beach and it's quite clear the retreat of the coast, and also flooding. There was also some cases that were mentioning there was some area flooded, and also the other effect was saltwater intrusion. So this was mainly the observation that the stakeholder perceived.
Okay, good. And what are your opinions? Oh, sorry. Why is this topic important to you?
Why it's important? Well, I was always having some idea how I would like to work in my future with the planet, with Earth, and contributing something to the Earth, to the population, to the environment. So with this work, I really feel fullified, because it's not only that I am doing something to gain the money, but I'm also thinking, I think that also I can contribute something to the environment where we live, to the Earth. So I was always somehow interested in this physical part of the climate already from the bachelor studies, and I think that there are a lot of things still to do. I think that we are in the beginning with climate change issues and investigations. But okay, I believe in the future generation that will also be will have enough strength and also will to do it right, like the investigators and researchers are doing right now.
Mm-hmm. Good. And what things can be done to help climate change?
So before I had one important and very interesting conversation with people from climate change, from the government, and we all agree that now I think it's already late to think on how to mitigate the climate change and start reducing the greenhouse gas emissions. I don't want to say that now we should emit even more. No, I'm just saying that we reach, I think, the top, but where it's really hard now to go back. Mm-hmm. So that's why I think the solution will be in adaptation. And I think that now we have a lot of knowledge, skills, technology, and that we can use it and to adapt properly. Of course, there are also many cases of maladaptation, but I think, for example, in the case of South Australia or in Southern Europe, where we have the similar climate, I think there is many things that we can do and adapt and to reduce the impacts of climate change for the future generations.
Mm-hmm. Okay. And for the project about immigration, what is the scope of your research about the integration of immigration?
So we started this project in Spain. Actually, in this project are included 4 European countries, Spain, Greece, UK and Portugal, and Australia. So the scope of the investigation is to research the integration of the immigrants that are living in the small towns, rural areas, because in the past we knew all that these migration flows were always oriented to the cities and metropolitan areas. And for example, in the last 2 decades, we saw how also there are a lot of migration flows that are going toward rural areas and small towns. And for example, the study case where I'm doing my PhD, it consists of 9 small towns, and there are 3 or 4 towns that have a quite big percentage of the people from abroad. In case of Spain, we can divide it into 2 groups: Europeans and people from Africa. So the Europeans are the ones that have the second houses. They are retired people, the case like in Victor Harbor. And the other group are people from Africa that mainly came because of the possibility for working and for better life. Okay. They are more economical migrant than not like the Europeans.
Yes. And what are you looking to find out? So why people live
Yeah.
moved?
Firstly, the reasons why they move in these areas, how they feel in this area, are they accepted or not, if they are integrated, why they are not integrated. In the case they are not integrated, in their opinion, what should be the reason. So mainly is this their perception about the community where they are living. Yeah.
Okay. Now that you're living in Spain, has your own perspective of being Slovenian changed?
Yes, it changed. Mainly, I became more attached to my country. Before living 25 years in Slovenia, okay, I was always proud to be Slovenian, but I never. I feel that now I feel more Slovenian than before. Really, I feel being so far away from home, all these my Slovenian origins and traditions are much more obvious now in Spain, Barcelona, than living at home. But I think this is in general terms always in between. I heard a lot of the people also from the other. I have a lot of friends that are also from the other countries, and they also perceive the same like me. When they went abroad, they were feeling more attached to their countries, and like in my case, more Slovenians than before. And in Barcelona, until now, we are around some. I know at least we have one group of Slovenians in Barcelona, but it's just a group on Facebook.
Okay.
And we are around 20 people, something like this. Mainly, we are, at least in this group, they are all young people. So I don't know actually what would be the total number of Slovenians living in Barcelona. But I don't think that it's high. I don't think there are a lot more than 30 maybe.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Very small group.
Yeah.
What languages do you speak in Spain, of your fellow Spaniards, and what other languages do you speak?
So in Spain, mainly I'm using Spanish language because majority of my friends are Spanish. I'm also last 2 years getting more integrated in the Spanish society, learning also actually not Spanish society, it's Catalan society. I'm learning also Catalan language. Catalan is the language of Catalonia. It's the region where Barcelona is the capital.
Okay.
So they have their own language. It's similar to Spanish, but it's different. So last 2 years and a half, I'm also learning this language, Catalan. And besides these two languages, my second language is Italian, because, like I said, I'm coming from the Primorska, that is close to the Italian border, and we have Italian minority living in this area. So we start learning Italian with 6-7 years already. And beside this, okay, English and Croatian as well.
Okay. And once you've completed your PhD, where would you like to work?
Well, this is now also a great question now in this economic crisis. That
do you know if you'd stay in Spain or would you move?
I would like to stay in Spain, but because of my opportunities in the future, I think that I will move. I don't know exactly where. I am planning now in spring to go to United States, just to do one exchange abroad. And one of the options maybe also would be going for 1-2 years in the United States after the PhD, or staying in Europe. Maybe I'm interested in Holland, in northern part. So, but really, I feel if I would need to choose where I feel like my second home, it's in Spain, in Barcelona. I would not move. But now I think also is the time to move, to go abroad, to have new experiences. And maybe one day I think that I will come back to Barcelona. And also when I get retired, back to Slovenia.
Okay. And how would you like to implement your PhD research?
Well, my PhD research is it's based on study case. So it can if the people will see any meaning in it, I mean policy, governments and so on, they can implement it. They can use it for policy making also as well. I think it's a useful source. And if not, at least if not will reach this any global aim, at least I think that I will learn, and I'm already learning a lot with it. So at least for my future career, I think it will help me a lot. To have the experience of 3 years working in one area, focusing on various kind of climate, but also on other social economical problems in this area. So we will see. I hope that people will at least read it and think about it.
Sounds good. Sandra, thank you for the interview and best luck with the future.
Thank you very much.